You guys just saw a video on the Grand Marquis as one of the best buys as far as a car. This one is a runner-up, and we're going to take a look at this today. Very good car. This is Hoovie's from Hoovie's Garage, 2003 Buick Park Avenue Ultra, just like the Killer Instinct video game. You guys know you used to beat up your friend on the game and do the Ultra combo and really piss off your friend. I know, I've been there. This one is a supercharged 3800 V8. It's pretty peppy, and this one has some really rare features. Hoovie bought it just because of that reason. We're going to go over some of those features and show them to you here in a little bit. But if you're really not into the Grand Marquis Crown Vic styling or rear-wheel drive, or you want something a little bit more economical on fuel, the next best car you can buy on earth for the money is a Buick Park Avenue or LeSabre, but definitely this powertrain. We're doing some work to this one. We're going to go over some of the common failure points on the 3800. But before we do that, let's take a look around this really nice Park Avenue. So this one's a little dirty. It actually just arrived on a delivery truck just a few days ago. It has not been detailed or cleaned, but it is in really good condition. It was owned by an older gentleman who took very good care of it. Look at those nice chrome wheels on here. And in Buick fashion, it does have the venti ports on the fender. As we go down the side, you can see it's a little bit longer and a little bit bigger than a LeSabre. It has a little bit more room. This is a larger car. And you can see here is denoted Ultra. As we go around to the back, being that it was an older person that owned this, there's various different emblems and stickers. Some of them are missing now. This one is Colonel, Honorable Order of Kentucky Colonels. I'm not sure what that is. You could let us know in the comments what that is. Another thing it has is an early 2000s version of a backup camera, which looks like a 1990s webcam. You guys remember those back in the day when you're talking to your friend and you had this big box on top of your screen or off to the side. Basically what that is. You need some Viagra there, guy? There we go. It has the old cell phone antenna. We've seen those in the 90s, 2000s. We don't really have that anymore. No need for it, but still there. As you can see down that side, although dirty, it's not dented or rusted or beat up. Let's go ahead and hop under the hood. And here we have a supercharged Buick 3800 that's currently getting some repairs done on it. You can see the valve covers are off, getting some valve cover gaskets done. We're going to show you some details here in a little bit after Mrs. Wizard does the interior review and show you why these things are apart. But really, for the age of the car, these are minor repairs. It really doesn't need a whole lot, and this thing is going to be ready to rock. Let's go ahead and hop into the interior.
Okay, ladies and gents, so here's our deck gauge cluster. I wish I could turn it on, but I can't because, you know, the valve covers are all disassembled. The battery's not even in the car, so go watch Hoovie's video. He'll talk about all that. But let's take a look at what we have here. Very classic, you know, what we would see in any Buick of this era. As we move up, oh, there's a little dark spot there. That dark spot is the projection screen for our heads-up display, which would have been common in a Corvette of this era. That is like one of the most super rare options for this model. As we move over, no, that is not a cell phone or a small DVD player. No, that is our backup camera. And it connects all the way down into there. And that cord runs somewhere underneath the seats all the way to the back of the car. So that is our backup camera way up there. But otherwise, this dash is in great shape. No problems, no marks, very little dust even. There's probably less dust in here than there is on the outside of the car. As we move down, you'll see that it also has a very nice option for passenger climate control. So it has dual climate control. Has nice wood grain that does wrap around. Got our creature comforts of heated seats on both sides, obviously. And we've got very simple controls for our HVAC system. Very common for these to be very simplified because, again, this is pretty much a grandpa's car. The seats are leather and a nice dove gray. There is no bolster on them, but they are very soft, very comfortable, because again, this is like riding a sofa going down the highway. And just to denote that this was an older gentleman's car, they of course have the sheepskin comfort little wrap right there. In our center console area, we do have the smallest center console that opens up and the tiniest, there we go, little cup holder there. Not so sure who JCP is, but that is very tiny and it folds nicely back in there as well. But just like we had with that Ranger a while ago, got another tiny seat here as well. And yes, we can tell that is a seat because there's that seat belt that goes to that person in the center. Wouldn't want to be that person riding there. Door cart's looking really good, has leather wrap in certain sections of it. Other areas got more wood trim. Looks nice. We also have more of our carpet that wraps up from the bottom all the way up into that lower section to make sure we don't get any marks or scuffs if for some reason your foot needs to kick the door open, I suppose. The back seats have nice arches between the two seats, nice stitching between the two. Again, very comfy, very nice, very plush. So we move to our headliner. Again, nothing crazy going on. No fingers marks, no Cheeto fingers, nothing like that. As we end up here, we have the start to having some of those other modern creature comforts where we've got garage door openers and lights and things like that, but nothing crazy like we're used to today, no sunglasses holders or anything like that. It does have the nice feature of this coming out, so if we put this down a little, the telescoping, and it has the extra flap here when you have to put this one to that side, and then you can put that one down. So when the sun is at that one spot over there, you can be definitely covered and not have the sun in your eye. One last thing before we wrap up with our steering wheel is you can tell again, nice easy controls there. Is controls for that, I guess, infotainment system that we can't turn on over there. It's like an infotainment bar up there. I guess down there are the controls are right over there, so easy to access as well. But as we go to our steering wheel, we definitely have some interesting controls. I've not seen AM, FM as an option on a steering wheel before, but there you go. Now you have it in this Buick. Otherwise, it's in great shape. It's got wood on the top. Wood's doing well. The varnish is looking nice. The leather is in good condition. Everything is looking good. So, I wonder what the wizard was talking about under the hood.
So just like every other 3800 out there that has the coolant elbows and the alternator bracket, in order to get the rear valve cover off, you have to remove the alternator bracket, which means these coolant elbows have to come out, which means you have to drain the antifreeze just to do a valve cover gasket. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about over here. I want you to get the ignition coil also out of the way. You can see there are two ports. One that actually goes into the intake manifold underneath the supercharger. And there is another little arm that sticks off the water pump where the other elbow goes into. These supply coolant to these heater hoses. That's all they do. And for some reason they decide to run the coolant through the alternator bracket. Let's go take a look at that bracket. So this is the alternator bracket. You can see the alternator would mount right in here. I've actually got it laying on its side. But you can see these two ports. There's one where heater hose goes here, another heater hose goes here, and coolant goes through the alternator bracket and into those two ports I just showed you on the engine through these plastic elbows. And they always break just like this. See that, guys? When you go to remove these from the engine block, it's a 99% chance this little piece is going to be left in the water pump or in the intake. So make sure you don't try to cram in a new elbow. Make sure you get these pieces out. This little area where the O-ring actually goes, like this, is a weak spot. After years and years of antifreeze going through this, it degrades the plastic. These can break before you've even taken them apart. You can just be driving around and they break and start pouring coolant out. I've seen that before. There's a fix for this. I never ever go back together putting plastic elbows back in here. That's dumb. Let me show you the upgrade. Any of you who have ever worked on or own a 3800 powered car probably already aware of these upgrades or know about these. These are metal elbows. Dorman makes them. They're in the helpline. It's such a common issue. I'll go ahead and try to remove these out. There's that one. And here's the last one. Luckily they didn't break off and stay inside the port here. But you can see we're definitely not going back in with these chintzy plastic pieces. We're getting the nice solid metal ones. These are the valve covers that have come off of this, and just want to give you guys some heads up if you're doing this job. This is brittle plastic. This is not aluminum. It looks like aluminum, it's not. So if you drop this or you crank too hard on these with the bolts or do something forceful, you could break your valve cover, so be careful with them. Some of the other issues that Hoovie had with this car is that it would randomly just stall, and it would try to crank it back up, and it would crank. And there was an idea maybe the plastic manifold that normally fail on these was burned through the EGR pipe, or something's leaking as far as a large vacuum leak. But if you watched his video yesterday, which actually you should go watch that, a lot of interesting information on there about him buying it and all that. I showed him in this video that I took the cover off. That's not plastic. In fact, it doesn't really have an intake in the sense it's a supercharger in place of where the intake used to be, and it's solid cast aluminum. Typically you're not going to find vacuum leaks that much with those. I guess you could, but those are not known to have the issues like the plastic manifolds are. So I knew that wasn't the problem. And just from years of experience working on these older GM products, I removed the connector from the mass airflow sensor, which this one is brand new. This is a Japanese Hitachi model, which is good quality. But when I removed that, it instantly ran like a brand new car. It started every time, and it quit stalling, and it ran very, very well. So that's really easy telltale sign the mass airflow sensor was bad. The previous owner or the seller that sold him this said it was an intake manifold problem. I knew right away it was a mass airflow sensor. Let me show you the old one. Now here's the old airflow sensor, and when I saw the QR code sticker, anytime I see that on one, I know that's an Amazon special, $14.99 or some cheap garbage. And you'll have to trust me on this, but it has really tiny writing underneath the QR code. It says made in China. I have never, and I want to underline the word never, had luck with a Chinese mass airflow sensor. In any make or model of car that I would ever work on in my shop, I will always put OEM, Delphi or Hitachi, Bosch, or whatever the brand is. Never buy these cheap ones like this because there's an 80% chance it's going to be bad, brand new out of the box. Unplugging this one made it run like a brand new car. It was bad even though the contacts looked brand new. So, junk. So that's pretty much all that's going on in the engine bay. Definitely wanted to show you guys some tips and tricks on these 3800s. If you buy one, some of the expected failures that you can find. Let's get this thing in the air and take a look. Just take a quick look underneath. I want to show you guys how this thing has almost zero rust on it. Here's our radiator core support. It's got like the original paint on it. It's nice and shiny. As we go to the engine oil pan area, this has some seepage coming down. It was actually the valve covers leaking down the block and actually blowing all over the place. That's why it's wet there. But you can see it's easy to get to the transmission and the oil pan. Everything's easy to get to. There's your starter. Very easy to get to. Those are like 80% gone. I think I mentioned in Hoovie's video it's going to get brakes all the way around. Struts are good. Brakes are about gone. Struts are good. Sway bar links are good. CV boots are good. Have our stock catalytic converter in place. A resonator. Look at this, guys. Look at the floor pans here. No rust. Nowhere. Very solid. Here's our charcoal canister, which is a little tough to get to, but at least it has a shield around it. Here's our fuel filter, been recently changed. Our exhaust is all stock. So I noticed when he brought it in, it was riding a little low in the rear.
What? Hoovie was riding low in the rear?
No, get your mind out of the gutter, Mrs. Wizard.
You're the one who said it.
Anyways, this is a common issue with Park Avenues, LeSabres, DeVilles, Cadillacs, all kinds of the GM cars that had load leveling suspension. Look at this, guys. It's got holes all the way through the boots. We'll go to the other side. Look at that, guys. Completely blown out. Very common issue. I'm just going to put new shocks in the back with new air suspension and check out the compressor, make sure it works. Our brakes are equally just as bad in the back. Yep, it's going to need new brakes in the back as well. Sway bar links are good. Obviously the shocks are bad. Our ride-height sensor is good and intact. It's not broken, so that's a good thing. Well, that's pretty much it, so let's go ahead and get this thing on the ground. These are very, very good cars. If a level 10 is a Toyota, these are definitely an 8, maybe a 9. They really, really are that good. I definitely wanted to do a video while Hoovie had this in the shop getting repaired. He's going to bring it back to its former glory and just cruise this thing. In his days of a dealer selling used cars, he mentions in his video as well, he just knew he could sell a 3800 vehicle and not have complaints from the customer 2 weeks from now. Hey man, this thing's blown up or this is bad. He just knew I can make some money on the sale. The customer's happy. I'm happy. It's not going to blow up. They really are that good of a car. So if you're looking in the $3,000 to $5,000 range, there's the Grand Marquis, there's the Crown Victorias, Lincoln Town Cars, Park Avenues on the GM side, Buick LeSabres, also the Chevy Impala that has the 3800. There are some of those that have a 3800. If you find one, that's a very good car as well. You don't have to spend 90 grand to get a new car today that's reliable and cheap to maintain and comfortable. This is right here. Very, very nice car. If you buy one of these, do know that you're going to probably need to do those coolant elbows that we just showed you, maybe an intake gasket or something like that. There'll be some minor repairs you'll have to do, but they're not going to be $7,000 to fix your car up. It's going to be $500 or $600. Very, very good cars. Again, I know I keep saying that. I know they really are that good. If you're going to send me an email, you're about to click send, what kind of car should I buy? Don't even click send because here it is. Thanks to Hoovie for letting us film his really sweet Park Avenue. There's a link in the description below to Hoovie's Garage. If you want to see his video, him buying the car, and some of his experiences and some of the stories he tells of the Buick 3800s in his life, definitely click on that. A very good video to watch there as well. If you're curious what kind of tools we use in the shop, really any of the tools we have, check our Amazon affiliates link in the description below. We get a small cut if you buy anything. We really appreciate it. Check out Mrs. Wizard's Way. She just put a video out. She's got some really good videos on there, really interesting topics. Also, hit the subscribe button here because we got many more cool videos to come. Thanks for watching.